Hello, Mama. Welcome back. I, of course, am not rushing through Thanksgiving, but know that there's a lot that goes into getting ready for Christmas and not wanting a super stress for Christmas later. If you are in the toy buying mood, then I have some excellent non-tech, non-digital, analog, if you will, toys that your kids will use for years and years to come. Let's hit it. The first type of toys that I highly recommend and that I have bought for my kids for years since they were old enough to use them, and they still are in use years and years later, and that is Lego or building type of toys. This might be Magnetiles. I mean, there's just so many, I can't even name them. These type of building or constructing toys give the kids that experience. They learn to follow directions, so they actually get some life skills out of the toys as well. But as soon as, for example, with Lego, they build it the initial time, there's that initial fun high, and then they can either keep it and play with it, or like mine do, take it apart and rebuild for years. This is a much better use of your kids' time than sitting on their behind playing a game. This, they can play with each other. It helps them learn to sit still, to concentrate, to pay attention. It's just super satisfying. And one of the biggest things it does is it helps build the life skill in the self-management category of delayed gratification. These building things that you do, they take time, they take effort. And if you can't, I mean, I often hear like cries of frustration in the background and then like Legos shattering because they couldn't quite make it work. So then they keep on and they figure out a new way to do it. These are excellent toys. Highly recommend. The second group of items that I feel like are great things to give the kids for Christmas, and that is in the dress up, pretend play category. So I have a whole entire video on why kids should do dress up and how it's a much better use of your money than other things. But this can include some costumes or silly hats, masks, a paraphernalia kids can play with, bows and arrows, pirate swords, lightsabers. Think about what your kids like to watch or their favorite kind of characters, and getting some dress up for this is an excellent way to get your kids off screens and playing. But these things provide like an imagination landscape for them to be able to really dive into play. We have so many times when other kids have come over where they're outside swimming or playing, and then they always wind up inside at our massive dress up containers, which I should probably organize, but whatever, I'm a macro organizer. And they all end up dressing around and running around the house having the best time. This is an excellent use of your Christmas budget for the kids, and they will play with these clothes for years. Part of the reason I love these toys so much, the grouping and the type of toys that I'm giving in this video, is because they really help our kids build life skills. So outside of just play, well, play actually builds the kids tons of life skills, but outside of just sitting and letting somebody else entertain you, the kids actually engage in these and they learn and they grow, and so much happens in a child when they play. So I just highly encourage you to get toys that encourage them to play instead of toys that encourage them to sit and not play. And if you're interested in making sure that your child is equipped for life, whether they're a toddler or a teen, I have something super excited coming up after Christmas that you want to get on the list for in the description box. The third grouping of items that you could get your kids for Christmas that are not tech is books. So I know books wouldn't be the whole gift. If they only opened up their present and it was books, they'd be like, but why though, Mom? But books are an excellent addition, whether if it could go in the stocking or they're sort of building out, finishing out whatever your budget was for your child. Books are something kids will use for years. My daughter has read the Little House on the Prairie series like 3 times or more, the whole series. They've reread through, we've got Nancy Drew, we've got the Hardy Boys, we've got Wings of Fire, we got Pendlewicks, is that even how you say it? I don't know. We have so many. The kids use them and reuse them and read them and reread them. All the kids read them. Books are an excellent thing to give, especially like cases of books or book series, because those are quite pricey. It's less expensive than buying all individually, but as a whole, they can become quite pricey. These are excellent things to wrap up and put under the tree. The fourth group of presents that I encourage you to buy your kids that they will play with forever is board games. Now, I was an only child, so like I didn't grow up playing a lot of board games because it was just me. But my husband did, and he loves them, and my kids love board games. We have a shocking number of board games. They are not well organized, so I have them actually in a bookshelf that's covered, because And I'll tell you why. It's because they get used so much. They get taken down and played and put back so often. There is rarely a day goes by. Now, I do have 5 kids, so this is probably why, but hardly a day goes by where the kids have not sat down and got out a game and played with it. We have Sleeping Queens. We have multiple versions of Monopoly. We get new games, the small ones, the travel ones, the big ones. There are so many fun games, and these games also teach kids life skills. They teach them life skills in the relationships and community category of life skills, because they learn to get along. They learn to be gracious winners, and they learn to not be sore losers. They learn to take turns. They learn to wait. They learn to be happy for each other. Board games are they're almost like an investment in family time. And even now, I don't love board games, but I like to be around when the kids are playing, and I love to see them doing them because they get in them so much. So this is an excellent type of toy, so to speak, that your kids will use for years. And the last type of toy or present that I encourage you to get the kids for Christmas is something that is more longer lasting or robust, like an experience that they would have that they could use throughout the year. So this could be season passes somewhere, to a museum or the local pool, the local park, the zoo. Season passes that will give them a gift throughout the whole year. Or it might be something that they can experience or use throughout the year, like bikes or skateboards or scooters or a golf cart or a little John Deere ride around. This all, wherever you live and your lifestyle goes into play with this. But something, when you're thinking of buying them a gift, think of the experience it's going to give them, and it's a great time to find something that's not only a toy but an experience, so that they can use it and love it and wear it out. Could be roller skates, maybe a little drone, although a drone is tech, isn't it? I feel like maybe that's tech. But remote control, a remote control car is also tech. Okay, when I say not tech, what I really mean is not a screen and not a device and not an iPad. So I'm gonna say we can keep the remote control cars. Something that's sort of fun and interactive that they can do together, that it'll last throughout the year. One thing I love to do that the kids also like to do is to make sure that I get their Christmas list relatively early. I don't promise they're gonna get everything on their list. I'm definitely, not go in that direction, but just throw out a bunch of things that you might want. And I have a Christmas planner here. I just got it on Amazon, and it, kind of goes through various, whether it's meal planning, budgeting, all that type of stuff. And I take the kids' Christmas lists. If they're little, you can write it for them. Actually should keep these. These are so precious. So I take their Christmas list and I keep it in my little Christmas planner, and then when it's time, I'll go through and I'll use the sort of guidelines I just gave you to go through and decide, here's the budget. Some kids might get 2 or 3 things, some might get 4 or 5, depending on what they asked for. And that means that they kind of get some stuff they already asked for, but they also just get what I feel like would be good and a good experience for them throughout the year. So if your kids are just sort of always reaching for the screen or the tablet, and you want to pull them back from that a little bit, aside from just having boundaries about that, which I highly recommend, definitely think about getting them some kind of non-tech toy that they can really dive into and use in the year to come.